You probably don't want this phone on the table.
The last thing we need, Shay, is a phone on the table.
I'm putting my phone on the table, by golly, and I hope my mom calls me, and I'm going to give her a shout out.
Well, she's been having these prayer alarms go off all morning.
It's true.
And I suddenly realized I clearly don't pray enough. The depravity of my spiritual condition. I was going to ask if you pronounce your last name Arthur or Arthur. I don't know where I got that from. I was like, what
I think
does that
it's because
even mean?
Haley was speaking in Spanish earlier or something, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's
Or
Arthur. Just to
maybe
be
it's
safe.
like this whole King Arthur vibe.
I mean, I'm not mad about that.
Yeah.
But I did actually just have a friend of mine do some of my genealogy on my dad's side. And I'm sad to say that I'm not related to King Arthur. But it was pretty cool to find out that, where I did come from.
So, like, I'm related to a king.
So am I.
It's
Like a natural king?
yeah,
Or,
yeah,
okay.
natural. Yeah.
A literal king?
You know,
a king.
You know the bad guy in Braveheart? The bad king?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
Nuh-uh.
King Edward I, David Edwards. I'm not joking.
I love that. I think. I'm going to need to chew on that.
But there's a revivalist a little bit further down in Wales.
Okay.
And he was also an engineer. So I'm a revivalist. My dad's an engineer, but I have an engineer's brain.
So you're all the
Looking
things.
at revival that way.
Yeah. So it's really, I love this topic like as of lately, because something that has been kind of going on in like different circles that I'm in is this whole idea that a lot of people are scared they're going to miss the will of God for their life. But if you actually honor the past, like you'll trip into your future if you're seeking Him. And so that's kind of why I ended up doing this trail of my dad's side. I haven't done my mom's side because it just seems like it's going to be a little bit more hectic on that. That's going to take time. But my 8th great grandfather was part of the first Quakers to come to America.
Wow.
From Ireland.
That
Which is crazy because it kind of explains a lot.
I was about to say that. You beat me to the punch.
And so Quakers were known as friends of God, and they were forsaking under the power of the Holy Spirit. And so when I learned that, I was like, oh my gosh, like this has been in my blood forever.
Wow.
And then like literally from like great grandfather all the way down, it's like pioneers, it's like civil officers. There was my 4th great grandfather was a spy in the Revolutionary War.
Wow.
And what's nuts is obviously we're in Georgia, and I was born in Texas. As far as I knew, everybody in my family was from Texas, but like it's crazy because they came and they settled in Virginia, and then trekked all the way through Georgia, all the way through Alabama and Oklahoma, and then down to Texas. And it's crazy because I lived in Gainesville for a while. And my 4th or 5th great grandfather was buried in Dahlonega.
Wow.
Which is nuts because that's only like 25 minutes north of Gainesville.
Interesting.
And I heard the Lord say this because I've been here since 2015 in Georgia. And this last year I was in a car accident in 2019, had to change everything over because somebody gave me a car here in Georgia. And so I had to change all of my Texas stuff because once Texas, always Texan. And so, at least they say that. But I ended up getting a driver's license that was Georgia. My address is Georgia now. Like I'm like a permanent resident of Georgia. And
Wow.
As soon as I found out that my heritage is here, like a bunch of it, the Lord spoke to me and says, now you officially have authority over this land.
Wow.
And I was getting smashed.
Dahlonega was the site of the Georgia Gold Rush.
Uh-huh.
It's where they would,
Yep, that's where the gold from the Capitol building is from Dahlonega. The gold on top.
I didn't even know that. I have I feel like the Lord gave me a prophetic word for Atlanta, that it would be a city where heaven is on earth. And it was represented by the fact that it has the largest gold dome of any dome in the United States. I think it's like the 2nd biggest gold dome in the world.
I didn't realize that.
But you have heaven's kiss on the city, and then the footsteps of your ancestors walked through here.
That's
and then a couple
nuts.
hundred years later, you circle back through to pull the real gold not only out of the
Ooh,
ground, but
yeah.
to pull the gold out of heaven.
That's nuts.
And you're seeing a city come into its identity.
Yeah.
So, like,
all that to say is if you're seeking God about
Yeah.
the will of God on your life, like you're not going to miss it. Because if you know me, like I'm a pioneer. I love Holy Spirit. I'm like all the things that even if they weren't doing it for the kingdom necessarily way before me, like he's redeemed all of it through my life.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
even part
nuts.
of like, I was going to talk about something totally different.
That's okay.
But when people are burning and they have prayer alarms on their phones, then they give you the topic.
Whatever.
I was leaning back on the sound booth of a church we were leaders at in Woodstock about 15 years ago. And as I was leaning back, I wasn't popping my back, but I need to know. Like I told you, it's a professional show.
Oh my gosh. You don't even need a chiropractor.
But I was leaning back on the sound booth and I had this thought. I'm standing here because 2,500 years ago, someone in their generation chose to live their life for Jesus. And because of that one person's decision, a reverberational effect went out through the generations and hit me 15 years ago, right in the middle of that service. I'm like, who knows? Like that person could have had good days, bad days, ups and downs, this and that. But somehow the Lord weaved their decisions into my trajectory.
Isn't it nuts?
And so, like you said, like when we begin to be aware of why the land the way it is, what the people have done before us, we can see where it's all going. And it might feel like you're circling back, but it's actually like slingshotting around the moon to go off into your destiny and so that future.
That's crazy.
Like what impact will us sitting here and sitting here just talking about Jesus and the glory, what impact will that have 5, 10, 50, 1,000 years from now? And it takes humility to say that because, I mean, who knows what will happen? And even you watching this video, getting inspired, smiling at one person that releases the joy of the Lord, they decide to go to church that night, get radically transformed, and the next president is their great-grandson who brings peace to the Middle East. You have no idea how all this stuff is interconnected and intertwined.
No. It's fun because it's also knowing, like, it's that whole thing where God's so big. Like, he's so much bigger than us, but he's, like, in all of our details. So he's so small to fit into our daily lives. Like, it's both, right? Like, the vastness of who he is, the vastness of one person's yes, that would affect my yes, like, decades and decades later, centuries later. And that it's something God's doing in my own city, pulling my spirit here, saying, I got something for you here. Did I ever think to move in Georgia in my right mind? No. Did I even care to visit Georgia, honestly? No. I was living in California. I was trying to shoot for the film industry and like make big impact there. And here I am. And would I trade it? Not at all. Like, I really wouldn't.
But what's 5 minutes down the street?
Pinewood and Hollywood. I mean, Atlanta's the Hollywood of the South. So
crazy.
But yeah, it is nuts. It's absolutely nuts. So my yes, like who's it impacting? And it does take humility to say that I can't do. I remember God said this not long ago to me. He said, Shay, you can't do everything, but you can do your part well, and your part can affect everything.
That's so good.
And that like set me straight. Because I think for me being driven and being like super visionary, like I'm going to do this. And like, yeah, it's a beautiful aspect of the Father. There's so much beautiful things about being, being a dreamer and a visionary and actually like throwing yourself into it. But it's also that pressure of like, you're going to do this with like, it's not on me to do it all. I just do my part and do it well.
As you're talking, I saw like a puzzle piece, and puzzle pieces are usually two-dimensional. They're flat, and they got different parts that connect to other puzzle pieces this way. The puzzle piece I saw went up and down, so you're connected to your history and to the future. And I also had pieces that were connected to outside of time.
So good.
So you're actually present in the past and present in the future and present in heavenly places. And we're multidimensional beings. Actually, what I really want to talk to you about
I love it.
was glory. But you'll have to watch the next video. So this ended up being a discussion about, don't look at your past negatively. No. Just like, when we teach in the prophetic, you're not looking for negative stuff. You're looking for the treasures God has hidden there. So if we look at our past positively, then we can see the treasures hidden there, even beneath stuff we might have to clean off. You know, if you need sozo, you need some healing, you need some help, you need some counseling, you can dig underneath some of that stuff and see some amazing treasures.
100%.
And you can find where your peace is, and that can propel you into your future.
Right. I think it is that, you know, this is such a huge word, I think, in Christianity, in church culture, and it's the word acceleration, which I love the word, right? Like, I love, man, the idea of being accelerated and launched just like, I don't know, it does something to me. I'm like, yes, 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 you know, because like as a pioneer, as somebody that's plowing seemingly often, plowing dreams, helping other people plow, the word acceleration makes me go, praise God. Like, there's something about it. But I think sometimes, at least in my own life, when I get that word, of course, in my mind, my expectation is like, tomorrow, it's going to happen tomorrow. And sometimes I think acceleration is just an invitation to look deeper. And so, okay, so there's things, like I'm in this season right now that, like, he's going deep in my heart. And he's just like, there's things, like, there's this acceleration is not an outward, like, go, go, go. The acceleration is we need to accelerate deeper and uncover things and turn some stones over so that which is coming, you can actually handle and carry. Because I do believe I'm called to carry glory, and I do carry glory, but there's more. Like, there's more that I'm like, yeah. But, like, I also know that there's this emptying of, like, I'm going to empty myself so I can carry more, right? And that comes with, like, going deeper and going, okay, that can't stay. Okay, that can't stay. That mindset's going to get in the way, you know? Yeah. So, yeah, I just went, whee! But
I've been talking to Leif about just disconnect so you can reconnect and then become a connection.
Yeah.
And just resetting our gaze and our focus on him.
It is.
I can see the room going behind you.
I love it because it's the year 2020 and everybody's, you know, new vision, new things. And truly, I just think it's a call for the reset. Like, it's time to reset. It's time to go, okay, why? Like, for me personally, he's just reducing me back down to, am I enough? Me alone, not numbers, not anything. Not that he's not in all of that influence and kingdom, all that stuff, but he's also in it. Just like, will you move my heart?
Wow.
Will you just move me? Like, there's been many moments where I've just sat in my living room at the house when all my roommates go to work, and I just like sit there in this chair, and I'm like, how should I move the Father today?
No, that's a good question, because we were talking with some of the people here at
I
the
helped
office.
You segue.
We're talking with some of the people here at the office this morning about, I have a friend who's a YouTuber, and he's making videos that are as simple as how to pray. It can be something we take for granted. Like, you're using a tool right now for your phone to remind you, because how easy is it to go throughout your day? I don't know how many times I've gone through the day, done several amazing things, even things that were like saturated in his presence. And I sit down and I'm like, oh, wow, what a good day, Lord. He's like, yeah, it's nice to see you. I'm like, what?
I've had lots of those days.
He's like, you went right past me in so many moments. I was still with you. I didn't leave you. I didn't forsake you.
Never.
My touch and my presence were there, but you bypassed my connection. And so it's just reset your gaze, refocus. Can you lead the people in just a quick prayer and just like one practical step to make that connection and pray and show them how to pray into it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess in this season, I think obviously if I sat here long enough, I'd have 10 steps, probably, maybe not. But I think in this season, it's realizing that I read this book and then it had this quote and it said, to be alone with the alone. And I sat there and I began to be like, what? Because I think so often culturally, we're busying ourselves. Right? And it may be busy with the kingdom, and no one is judging you, no one's mad at you. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir, honestly, in this season. But it's okay to be alone with the alone and know that he's there. And for me in this season, it's felt very vulnerable to peel back those layers and say, okay, like, instead of sitting here and dreaming for 10 minutes with God, I'm going to sit here and just move God. I'm going to let my worship in my place of heart move the Father. So my practical step, I guess, for me right now is I sit in my living room like I talked about, and I'll sit in what feels like complete silence, which for me can be kind of daunting because I'd rather have worship on, or, you know, like I'd rather have some kind of noise filling the air. And I just sat there in silence for a few minutes that felt like a lifetime. And I was like, God, how do I move you today? And I felt like he said, Shay, I just want you to say one attribute of who I am out loud. And I'm going to just be honest, it's not like I felt God. It's not like I'm like, man, he's so here, right? Like I was just sitting there. It wasn't this like necessarily tangibly a holy moment of sorts. And I just sat there and I was like, okay. And so I just sat there and I was kind of like, what attribute kind of would I in this moment? And I began to just say, you're worthy. Like you're worthy of my silence. Like you're not scared of silence. You're not scared of vulnerable. And I just began to say, you're worthy. Like you're worthy, you're worthy. And at first it was just kind of like a word. I'm like, you're worthy. But the more I said it, something began to shift. And it was like, it became this, like I'm on my knees and I'm like, you're worthy, God. You are worthy. And then I just stopped. I just stopped. And it was like as if something had walked in the room. Like his tangible worthiness. Like as if he was in the room with me. And I just sat there and I began to cry. And I was like, when's the last time we as a church didn't go to him for what he could do for us, but just to tell him who he is? Like, this is who you are. And I'm sitting here telling you to tell me who I am. But when I'm telling you who you are, I'm finding who I am, because in John 10:39, it says those that lose it find it. And so I lost myself. I lost my agenda in that moment of, God, I need this, or I'm concerned about this, or all these worries and circumstantial stuff in my own feelings, just to say, you are worthy, you are worthy, you are worthy. And then it just fell. And I was like, through telling him and reminding him who he was, not because he needs it, but because that's worship, he met me and reminded me of who I am. Mm. Right?
Yeah.
And so I guess my practical, honestly, is don't be scared of the silence, and don't be scared to move him. Mm. Don't be scared to move heaven.
Yeah. Push past it, go for it.
Yep.
And you'll find them every time.
Yeah.
How can people find out more about you? Website, what you're doing?
Website. I have a very old website, shayarthur.com. Don't judge it when you go on there, if you go on there. I'm revamping it now. You can find me on Instagram, Shay Arthur. I also have a podcast called Just Shayin'. It's also a YouTube channel. My heart is just to talk about culturally what it looks like to follow Jesus in our day and age. My heart's to hit controversial topics and talk to an assortment of people that are following Jesus. And so that's probably the easiest way to find me.
Awesome. I'll link some of those below. Hey, Don't forget, if you like this video, to like, subscribe, share.
Subscribe, share.
I'll link Shay's video stuff as well, so go check her YouTube channel out. Hey, thanks for coming on.
Loved it.
All right, see you guys.